Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Welcome to another episode of Winning in Business. This is your host, Kelly Rissy, and today I am here with Tammi Hilton. And I'm so excited to have Tammi on as a guest. So Tammi, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And okay, listeners, let me share a little bit about Tammi. Tammi Hilton is a seasoned entrepreneur with a proven track record of success in both the hospitality and technology sectors. As the owner of a thriving full-service Mellow Mushroom franchise restaurant and a technology company, Moe Gas Tax, specializing in application development, Tammi has made her mark by combining her deep expertise in technology and software sales with an unwavering commitment to excellence. Known for her resilience and work ethic, Tammi approaches every challenge with a level of confidence that sets her apart. Her independent spirit drives her to find innovative solutions to complex problems, ensuring that every endeavor she undertakes is met with success. Beyond her professional achievements, Tammi is a dedicated wife and mother, raising an 11-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. She finds balance in her life through her love of fitness, supporting her children's athletic pursuits, and seeking out nature's beauty. Whether it's chasing waterfalls, carving down ski slopes, or taking in breathtaking landscapes. Tammi's pursuit of success is fueled by her strong desire to please, a quality that pushes her to exceed expectations and deliver outstanding results in all aspects of her life. So, Tammi, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. I love it.
Yeah. I feel like we have so much to dive into. One, you kind of have two separate things going on here, but let's start with, why did you get into doing what you do?
Well, what part of it's trying to understand what I do, some parts of the day, as you said, I have always been a salesperson. I always knew I wanted to be a salesperson when I, was trying to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up. And I've always had these dreams of just being in charge, and when you're in sales, you're in charge of the conversation, you're in charge of the narrative. And also, when you're in sales, you're always providing a solution to hopefully a problem, right? If you can't provide a solution to the problem, the sale is just not going to go through. And so, it just got to the point in my life, and I'm fortunate enough to have a husband that also had an entrepreneurial spirit as well. And we opened the restaurant about 6 years ago. But it was about a 3-year process before that. And we've always thought about opening our own business. And it was probably something he was looking forward to more than I was. But at the same time, it just started to kind of make sense for our lives. And so we honestly, it was probably just some back porch drinking a little bit, some late night conversations and dreams is kind of where a lot of these ideas come to fruition. But I realized in life, like if we didn't go ahead and make the plunge on starting our own business or starting a new project for ourselves, our lives would be different. But I also knew if we didn't do it, our lives would be different as well. And so it was just a matter of which direction did we want to take. And so we started talking to franchises and looking at that direction. We also researched, purchasing a business or starting our own business as well. But it probably was about 3 or 4 years of just studying businesses that were for sale, making some soft offers out there that didn't go through. Some of the best offers that happen in life are the ones that don't happen.
Yes.
And so as we just kind of got further and further down these conversations, we always wanted a business that we could tie an asset to. And so for us, the franchise model just continued to make sense. We had quite a few different conversations with different franchises, from daycares to yogurt shops to you name it. We just kind of fell in love with the Mellow Mushroom direction. Um, and when you think about franchises, it was something that we both kind of learned about in college as well, separately. Having a franchise means having a playbook. It also, for us, meant that access to the lending was available as well, being backed by the Small Business Administration, being able to go to the bank and make a purchase of land and a building. And then we were able to kind of support our asset for our future as well. And so that's really kind of the nuts and bolts of it. But in short, you had it was hard to take that risk. It really, really was hard because we had it pretty well. There was nothing wrong with working. We were both doing really well at what we did. And I was really successful as well. As a matter of fact, I was probably climbing in that success. And it was just making an investment in ourselves and our future and really what we wanted for the long haul of our lives versus just the short term.
Yeah. I love what you said about really just looking at what if we did this and our life could be like this, and what if we didn't and our life could be like this, right? It's like just looking at both sides and what could happen, like what if, and really you don't know. You don't know either way, right? I
You
mean,
still don't know,
right. Things could be
seven.
great this way, things could be great this way, and things could fall apart both ways, and you can learn a million lessons in both directions also, right? And usually a little bit of the good and the bad happen no matter which direction you go with, right?
That's exactly right. And sometimes too, I mean, that risk tolerance or that those
Yes.
moments still happen. It's not like that risk went away, but or those
Yeah.
sleepless nights or long conversations have gone away. But at the same time, I still have my experience. I still have my career. I can still go do other things. And you're constantly learning in this environment as well. And so it's one of those things I never would have thought in high school or even in college I would really own a restaurant, or uh, own, a Mellow Mushroom or a franchise restaurant or even be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to own something or have my own business in some way, but I never could really fathom what it might be. So um, I don't know. I guess it's just kind of follow your gut, I guess.
Yes, I love that. And for those of you that are listening that may not live by a mellow mushroom, do you want to explain what mellow mushroom is? Just in
Yeah.
a
So
short
it's
little synopsis.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's about 200 mellow mushrooms across the United States. They're more kind of like in the southeastern areas of the continent, I guess. And it is a full service, family style, upscale dining experience. So we have a full bar. We do hand tossed stone baked pizza. So we do it, and we do that very well. I've got a whole kitchen. We do to go business as well, very well. And then really we focus on just high quality ingredients and signature cocktails. So our bar business is really awesome. We get really great handcrafted cocktails. We got 25 taps on the wall as well. So we try to do a lot of fun local beers and tap takeovers and pint nights and all kinds of fun things there. We are a family style sit down pizza joint, if you will. So, but we do hand tossed stone baked pizza, high quality ingredients. I've got about 70 employees inside of the restaurant any given time. And we're open 7 days a week, just right here in Cotterville, Missouri.
Yeah, that's great. So, thank you. Just I figured there's people out there
So
that
many
are like, I don't
people,
even
no,
know
so
what a
many people
mellow
still
mushroom
in the
is. You know what I mean?
community.
So I thought we should provide some context just
Thank you.
around that.
Yes.
But okay, so being a franchise owner, what are some of the big ahas? And really just it doesn't have to even be about that, just success in general. What are some of the big ahas that you want to share that you feel like have contributed to your success?
You know, some of most of this is more about the success, less about the actual individual business. But a lot of what I have learned over time is the difficult situations that you find yourself in cause like a lot of internal stress, right? So
Mhm.
like if you have a conversation that you need to have with, maybe it's an employee of yours or a customer, maybe they didn't have a great experience, or maybe it's a vendor that didn't, hold their end of the bargain. You have all this stress that leads into these conversations. And a lot of time it's just kind of like you don't really know the outcome. But once you get through it, the first time and the fourth time and the 18th time, those situations become so much more easier to deal with. And that could be with your coworkers, that could be with the employees that you have. But for most of the time, it's those difficult situations are typically the first time you might have to deal with it. The next time that difficult situation comes up, it's so much easier. And you're able to go through that situation again. And so it's one of those things. I've had a car run into my building because there was an accident on the highway. I had no idea what I was going to do,
Yeah. Yeah. There are
but
some things that you can't prepare for.
you just can't prepare
I
for it,
mean,
right? And
yeah, you
so
just don't know.
dealing with business loss insurance, losing electricity for 2 days, having to tell the employees to go home, making sure that the food stays, safe served, make sure everything happens. But now if somebody has a car accident in one of the, buildings or something were to happen, call me. I know how to get through it. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
for me, it's just mostly like the difficult situations that arise being a business owner, but those difficult situations arise too in our everyday lives. It could be with our families. But another thing for me
So,
is just that,
so I feel like it's almost like just staying curious about it and being okay that, like, oh, this is happening and I'm going to learn from it so that the next time it happens, like, I'll already be a little bit further down the line. And as opposed to like freaking out and like what am I going to do? Right. It's
yeah,
just like, okay, I'm going to go through something. I'm going to learn from this. And this situation is going to help me in whatever way. And just almost staying curious about it.
staying super curious about it, I think is really important. And I think just even any conversation that you have with people,
Mhm.
I do have a hard time. Sometimes I make assumptions like I know the right answer. So just listen to me to the end of the conversation instead of coming at it from a sense of curiosity or how to get through it. But I'm also somebody too, and I think it's just my personality trait. Like in difficult situations, I don't stop.
Mm.
If you look at our TikTok, our Mellow Mushroom TikTok, there's a video of about 20 pizzas falling before they ever hit the oven because we had this huge catering order come in, and we were loading pizzas on a speed rack before we put them into the oven, and it just started to tip, and I caught it off of my security cameras, but you can see me just look at it and not flinch, like where
Mm.
all my other employees are staring at it like,
Right.
we have to pick this up, what are we gonna
Uh-huh.
do? And I'm like, we're gonna make another 20 pizzas, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
for me, when those situations come up, I just have to tackle them head on and get through them. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that my body's not stressed or I'm not worried about how we're going to get through it at the next
Yeah.
point. But at the same time, I just know we got to get to the other side of it.
I love that. Like tackle it head on. You trust your gut. I heard you say that earlier. And you just make decisions quickly. What are we doing? Making 20 more pizzas. Like, let's go. So
Let's
tackle
go. Yeah,
like
because
approach it head on, make decisions quickly by trusting your gut. Like
yeah,
that's great.
yeah. And that's for me, like in situations where it's you have to, I don't hesitate. I just keep going. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I always make the right decision, but when you do make that decision, you got to go full fledged. And so yeah, but
Yeah.
that's probably one
Yeah.
of the most like memorable experiences that I think I can have like over recently where I even was talking to a business coach about situational decisions that you make and how do you
Mhm.
make them, and she even brought that. She's like, I saw your TikTok, like when stuff hits the fan, you just keep going.
Right. Yes. Keep
2
going.
weeks later I might pause and cry about it,
Mhm.
but most of the time you just got to keep plowing through.
Yes, yes. I would say most business owners kind of agree with the at least like you just have to keep going, right? Reevaluate, keep going. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, what other advice do you have?
I think also one of the things that I even thought about, even when it comes to advice, is like when challenges are difficult, they're going to be the most rewarding, and so whether it be opening a franchise restaurant or architecting a building and GCing a building and hiring 100 employees to get a franchise restaurant off the ground, it was the most exciting time, but the most difficult time.
Mhm.
And so if you can get through some of the most difficult situations that you might be going through, and I'm fortunate to most of these situations are not life and death either.
Mhm.
But if you can get through them, the reward is going to be so much more on the other side of it. And so when you have more at risk, and you have like more of those sleepless nights, and you have more of those like pits in your stomach, you just got to get through it. And I think one of the other aha moments for me too is like life is so short, and I say that I'm 42 years old, right? And so I'm just in this like midlife crisis, if you will.
Mhm.
And I'm starting to realize like what everybody told me is like life is so short. And they told me that more probably when my kids were babies, but now with a 9 and 11-year-old, like I'm really seeing how short it is. And so when you have situations that are difficult, don't worry because it's going to be short.
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
you're
Yes.
gonna get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might not, and it doesn't mean the outcome's going to be in your favor every time either,
Yeah.
but you'll get through it and you'll learn from it as well. And so,
And
um,
I think back to what you said just about challenges, that they will be rewarding. I think if we stop and look at probably everybody listening to this podcast, whether you're a high level professional or whether you're a business owner, y'all, we like a certain level of crazy.
we
Quite
do like
frankly,
a certain level of
if
crazy.
we wanted things to be really, really just like, nothing and not challenging, well, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. We do thrive on some challenge. You know what I mean? Like,
It's so crazy that you say that because my husband and I were sitting at the lake a couple weeks ago. It's the end of the summer, and we've had this restaurant for 6 years, and it's been a challenge. I mean, it's been so many challenges, but it's given us a lifestyle that like I could have never imagined either. And he just looked at me, he's like, we need we need to do something different. And I'm like, what do you like? He was like, we got to do something new. We haven't bought anything in a while. We haven't
mhm,
invested anything in a while. Like what, let's dream. And I'm like, well, pour another bourbon and let's go. So,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
So there
yeah,
comes a point to that where you're like, okay. And I know that, like I always talk about it is kind of the layering piece. So you get one business down and you're like, okay, this is good. Like we've got it down. Everything's, running as smoothly as possible.
as it can.
As it can,
Yeah.
exactly. We're not talking
Yeah.
about perfect. We're just talking about,
It's never perfect.
and then it's like, okay, and now what's next? And we layer something else on top of it, right? And then we layer the next thing on top of it.
And
So,
that's what, honestly, I look at all my employees too as somebody else that I can promote somewhere else, or that, because as much as my employees work for me inside of my franchise business, I also look at their other skill sets that they have and where are they going in life and what else can I involve my companies into and bring them with me. And so, whatever those layers are, but like you said, as a restaurant owner, I sometimes I fall into that GM position, and that's not really the business model for us. But if I lose a key manager and someone's not ready to step up, or I don't have the right base, B-level team or shift leads or anybody internally, it does fall on me, and I have to miss the things in my life to take that over. But I've learned after doing that a couple of times, like, okay, let's put in some safety nets
mhm,
and let's start making some changes. And and I look across the board all the time of my roster of employees, and I'm like, if one of these people, I have 4 salary managers, and I don't expect any of them to leave me at any time, but let's face it, they might, and I
mhm,
don't blame them if there's another opportunity that comes up that's better for them. But being able to kind of promote within, but then also like they also want to know where I'm going too, right?
mhm,
They want to know what else is there. Like, general manager of a restaurant is about as high as I can probably promote somebody in my business, unless there's 2 restaurants or unless there's 3 restaurants. And now we have area managers and other type of opportunities. And so, yeah, I think, taking those risks, but then we're just always constantly trying to take those risks. Like I said, we were just
Yeah.
joking. We went through the pipeline of like, we've only been married 13 years.
Mhm.
Uh, quick calculation there. And we just kind of went through every year that we were married, like what we did, like what asset did we buy? How did we move it into the next phase? And what did we do with it then? And we kind of just like stopped, like, shoot, between COVID and everything else, we kind of plateaued out. We need to start thinking about our next move.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And, I think, how is it you working with your partner, like your husband? Like, let's be real for a minute. How is
Yeah, that's a great question.
that?
Oh man, and he's upstairs on a conference call, so I think I could talk freely about him because he's not listening anymore. But um, it's a very dynamic situation. There's a lot of trust.
Mhm.
He does not take part in any of the day-to-day operations of the restaurant. He has his own full-time job. He works tired. I don't even know how he works so hard at that job. He works tirelessly with that company. And so every decision that is made around the business, I make. And I do bring him difficult situations that I run into. But I kind of bring them some more like the HR situations or some of the things that are just kind of going back and forth. But there's really no big parts of the restaurant that he has. Now, that being said, he is my biggest critic as a customer. And so
Okay.
a lot of times he will park himself at my bar and continuously like, well, this should have been faster. This could be better. We could do this over here. And so when he comes in sometimes late in the game, I want to be like, jump in any day you want to, because,
Yeah.
but I have to understand that, he's protecting us as well and trying to make sure that we put our best foot forward as well. But really,
He's like the secret shopper that's not secret.
not secret at all. Not secret at all. But yeah, it's a lot of trust between the two of us, and it's a very autonomous. Like other than really, supporting us at the end of the year with the tax documents. I mean, he knows like where we're at here and there throughout the year. If we're better, if our revenue's higher than it was or lower than it was, if we're having some turmoil or some changes going on, he knows about it because by his stress level.
Mhm.
But to be honest, because we are business partners and we are so busy in our lives, I also have to tell people we don't talk shop
Mm.
at the end of the night. We really don't. Like
Yeah.
it's between, I mean, tonight we've got a volleyball practice, a baseball practice, and he's got a dinner that he has to attend to. So, like, there will be no shop tonight. We don't know what each other are doing throughout the day, but we do trust each other that, we're getting to our deeper goals that we both have in life. So,
I think it sounds very much like any type of partnership, whether you're married or not. If you're going in a business with a partner,
mhm.
sometimes one of the partners is more, let's call it silent,
Yeah,
right? Like, but more but just behind the scenes, while the other one is definitely more hands-on. And so even though you are married, it's really that trust of just the partnership. You know what I
it's
mean?
a,
You two happen to be married, but there are partnerships that have to run this way regardless. You
yeah,
need to trust. You need to be able to take a break and not talk about it all the time and know when you
yeah,
do need to talk about it.
yeah. I mean, even if it came down to the thick and thin of it, like he really is a silent partner in the business. He
Mhm.
really like there are times where he says to me, he's like, well, I'll go work tonight. And I'm like, you don't just discount all of my experience that you can just sub in today because you can't, you
Mhm.
know, and
Mhm.
that's kind of the hardest piece because like it doesn't seem like it would be hard to go in and manage a couple servers and pizza cooks and make sure that you turn the lights off at night, but it is like it does take some talent or
Oh
else
yeah.
I wouldn't have to do it. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I
you
was in
know.
the restaurant business for a while, not as a manager, not as an owner, just as a server. And
Yeah,
I did that for quite a while, going through grad school, put myself through grad school. So anyway, it was back in the
me
day,
too.
but I
Yeah.
mean, you work your rear everyone in the restaurant industry works
It's
their rear end off, is what I'll say.
Everyone
Yeah.
does. Yeah, everyone does.
Yeah.
It is not for the weak. And I do believe that like I'm a better person from working two jobs,
Mhm.
I mean, I worked two jobs. I was always able to go back on different serving skills that I had. And I was never a restaurant manager either, by the way, which
Mhm.
is wild. I never I never managed, I never even I never made a roster before. I never even made a floor chart before,
Hmm. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. But as
um,
servers, I tell you what we do develop. We develop people skills.
well,
Because,
solutions, right? What's
yep.
the problem? Here's a solution.
Yeah.
And like you said, I hired people, right? So
Yes.
I hired
Yes.
managers that knew how to do it. And that was
Hmm.
always the business model for us. It's not for me to really be in the business, but to manage the
Yeah.
business and be moving on to do other things for us.
So I have a question for you, and
Yeah.
you brought this up a little bit, but I'm curious, like, what challenges do you face finding balance between being a business owner and you're a mom and a wife, and I'm sure you want some adventure in your life and to have fun. So how do you manage to balance all of that, or is it still difficult for you?
It is something that I have found, like I said earlier, that life is so fast, right? And so my kids at the age that they are, I remember people telling me like when I had babies, like, oh, life is so fast, enjoy it while you have it. And I'm like, and I just remember thinking like, I can't wait till they can wipe their own butts, you know? Like I can't wait till they can feed themselves and I don't have
Hashtag
to.
real talk.
Yeah. So like, but at the same time, like those challenges that come up inside of a restaurant, they happen, but they also go away. And
Mhm.
so when you have that downtime, you have to take it. And so for me, once my kids became more dedicated to the sports they were playing, and I mean that like dedicated to the sports they were playing, like once they started finding the sports that they were clued into, I started realizing that I had to get dialed in with them as well. So whether it be club sports or tryouts, and then I needed to be there. Like I couldn't just miss the 1 day a week game anymore because my son was actually putting time in at the batting cages and I wanted to see the result. And so for me, it was just obviously creating a balance inside of my business and making sure that I had the right team to execute
Mhm.
it. But also like when we do have the downtime, we're fortunate enough that we take it. We do have a place at the lake, and so my summer is not even that. The 9 months that are not summer, I am busting my tail to make sure that those 90 days that my kids are off of school, that I can take as many days as I possibly can with them. And so when it's fall break, we go on vacation. Like
Mhm.
we go skiing in the winter. We have fall break coming up in October. We have flights booked to Hawaii, and we're going to take it.
So
Now,
it's
there have been times where I've had to cancel an Airbnb or just like, lose a non-refundable deposit because things have not worked out that way.
yeah.
But we do take those moments. And it actually it's funny, a couple of years ago, I told my husband as the kids were getting a little bit older, we were eating out so much.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, like I need to start watching my weight. I've got to start eating better. Like we've got to stop eating out. Like we got to start making dinner at home. And he straight up, my husband told me, we are so busy. If we eat at home, we won't eat at home together. And if we go out to eat, the four of us sit in a booth at least for 30 minutes. He's like, so we will keep eating out. And so,
Yep. My husband actually said something very similar, but our boys are older. But it's like he knew, he's like, if we like our boys are in their 20s, and he's like, if we want to have some time with them, when we go to dinner, we're all together and we're stuck,
yeah,
like not stuck, but you know what I mean? Like we're
yeah.
there until our food comes and we have lovely conversation. Whereas at home, they get done eating and they're up, like off they go. So
Well,
yes.
and I started pinging my daughter my daughter wants bedroom furniture. And so
Uh-huh.
she wants a new bedroom set and da, da, da. She keeps throwing me links that she wants me to buy her. And I'm like, let's talk about it at dinner when your dad is present. Cause basically I'm
Mhm.
like, do you mind if I go spend some money on her
Yeah,
bed?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
cause I
yeah,
need her dad's, like,
yeah.
listen, we can't just show up with a new bed frame in the house and not tell anybody.
Right,
And,
right.
and so, it's just more about like, let's like pause some of those conversations from when we're all together. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's not just about like my family or vacation for us too. It's my own personal breaks that
Mhm.
are difficult. And that is a challenge that I'm still evolving in.
Mhm.
I have the opportunity, I work out quite a bit, but this past year I put it on the back burner a little bit. And it's probably the year that I need it the most.
Mhm.
But at the same time, taking the small breaks, listening to, I mean, there's thousands of apps, but
Yeah.
listening to meditation, trying
Mhm.
to go to sleep in the most peaceful way that I can, trying to wake up with the most positive attitude that I possibly can. I don't have it dialed in all the way, but I'm constantly working on it.
And I think that, I think that right there is what most of us need to just understand. We're all doing the best we can. And when we're aware, we dial in the best we can, right? Knowing that there's going to be some ebb and flow of things, but
Yeah.
really getting in and being intentional. And I love what you said just about balance. I heard you say I have the right team. I make sure I have the right team in place. And you're intentional. You're intentional about taking vacations. You're intentional about taking breaks. You're intentional about planning your year, right? So
Yeah.
that you can be off with the kids. And I think
Yeah.
that is something is so important, especially for business owners, that we have to be intentional about. And
Yeah.
so kudos to you for being intentional about it, keeping it in the forefront. Even if there's a few days here and there that it doesn't go as planned,
So many days don't go as
it's
planned.
keeping it intentional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So good for you. What is accomplishment that you're really proud of that you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, I think at this point, the past 6 years of owning a business, it's just been wild. I mean, to say the least, right? So I opened up the restaurant in 2019. 2020, we all know what happened with COVID. And whether, COVID had its different effects on different businesses across the board. For restaurants, particularly, it was probably a nice push for us because people started really including, like, kind of dialing into some of the family experiences they had. So whether it be dining, dining to go,
Mhm.
but a lot of restaurants, we did see a little bit of an uptick. Um, and then, but right behind COVID, what a lot of people don't even realize is that we had employees demanding pay raises, and most of us probably felt that in our own paycheck, but that also happened in small businesses as well.
Yeah.
So minimum wage, I might have gotten away with like $2 or $3 over minimum wage in 2021, but late 2021, it grew. Like, I mean, people would come in asking for more than I'd ever paid anybody. And so that really was difficult. And then even that, prices went up, right? So the price
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
goods went up. And so then my
Yeah.
menu prices went up as well. And so honestly, I think like my biggest accomplishment is just going through all of it. Like
Mhm.
just going through all of it. I joke that like owning a business and being in business for the past 6 years is like a master's class, right? There's no education that I could have got, maybe there is, but there's nothing that would have prepared me
Mhm.
for that. I mean, it
Yeah.
was wild. It was
Yeah.
wild. And
Yeah.
as soon as you got over one hump, something else came. And to be honest, we're going through it a little bit right now where it's a little bit stagnant. Sales are
Mhm.
kind of stale. Consumers are a little bit hesitant. We got all this conversation about, home sales, interest
Mhm.
rates,
Yeah.
elections, you
Yeah.
name it.
Yeah.
It is not a fun time right now to be relying on the general public for revenue.
Yeah. I mean, really, we went from COVID, which lasted way more than just 2020, right? I mean, it happened so
Absolutely.
longer after that, still feeling the effects. And now we are right into the election. And so we'll see
Yeah.
what happens after that. But it is
But it
kind of
kind of goes
just,
back to like that, what I said earlier, life is fast.
yes,
So hold
yes,
on, but
yes,
buckle
hold
up.
on. Yes. And
Like six
kudos to
months from
you.
now, we're going to be another spot.
And kudos to you for staying afloat and keeping your restaurant open. Um, this long and through COVID because we know that there are some that didn't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean,
yeah, so
there's,
congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
pros and cons to that scenario, I think. But I mean, we all went through it in some crazy way or fashion or
yeah.
another. But it was just, I mean, what a time to just decide to be a business owner because
Mhm.
2019, I mean, I think we'd all go back. Nothing was wrong. If something was wrong, I don't know what it was. I don't even like, I should go back to I don't even know what was wrong in 2019, but it was a dang good year. Like,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And when did you open the franchise?
we opened in February of 2019, but I
Okay.
mean, there's 2 or 3 years of, real estate
Yeah.
development,
Okay.
purchasing land. So I feel like I've been doing this for 10 years almost at this
Yeah.
point.
And I started my business in 2017, really more like 2018. I was still getting some sort of
Uh-huh.
stuff at like 2018. And then I got really serious in 2019. And so then it was like, we're all like, oh, 2019.
Yeah,
So for those of us, seriously, that hadn't been doing this all those years and just started, whew, it has been a roller coaster. It
it
has
was.
been
I
like
mean,
hang on for the ride, and I mean, it's fun. I wouldn't change it for the world. Sounds like you feel that exact same way. And we get
I
lessons
had
thrown at
I
us
had
all the
this
time.
I had this woman call me. I'll tell you this little story. I had someone call me from the Business Journal and asked it, like, I have a couple questions about your business when as it pertains to COVID. And I just picked up the phone. I'm like, yeah, sure. What? But she told me, this was a fun fact about myself I didn't know. She said, you took out the largest SBA loan in the state of Missouri last year. How do you expect to pay it back in COVID? I, I was like, the same way I didn't know how I just pay it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would not be the person I was if I didn't just have a plan, follow the plan, and you pay
Follow the
it.
plan.
But like, I literally was like, well, I didn't know I took the largest SBA loan out in the state of Missouri last year. And I actually wasn't thinking yet that it was going to be hard to pay next month, but thank you. Like, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, okay. So that was an
That's
interesting.
that
Luckily,
is
I didn't have a
interesting.
subscription to that journal, but a friend of mine did text me. She's like, I saw your article. I was like, oh God, send me the copy, would you? Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, where would you like the listeners, like where can people follow you just to stay in touch with you personally? I know we can all
Yeah.
follow Mellow Mushroom, right?
Yeah, I
And
was like Mellow
yeah,
Mushroom. We've got a TikTok, Instagram, Mellow Mushroom
okay,
Cotterville, I think is both of those.
okay,
Facebook as well. Moe
okay,
Gas Tax is my technology company that we haven't even gotten into yet, but
okay.
maybe for another day. But that is also an area for myself. And then if you can find me on Instagram, Tammi Hilton, Facebook as well. I always love a good friend request and a new follow. I
Okay.
try to support all of my businesses at all of those little channels there.
Yeah. And that's Tammy with an I. T
Tammy
A
with an I. Thank
yeah,
you.
TAMMI,
TAMMI. Two
HAI.
M's, one I.
Yep,
Yeah, Hilton like the hotel.
Hilton. I mean, I'm like Hilton is the same, just Tammy with an I. So yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, and we did not get into the Nomo tax app, but do you just want to share very quickly what that is about? And that really only pertains to the people that are in Missouri, correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
mostly. So, state of Missouri implemented a gas tax about 3 years ago. It started at 2.5 cents and it grows by 2.5 cents every single year. So, currently it's at 10 cents. It's fully refundable for anybody that purchases gas in the state of Missouri. So, every single citizen in the state of Missouri that's purchasing gas, 10 cents is fully refundable on every single gallon of gas that you do purchase. And so, my app will collect the receipts. All you do is take a picture of the receipt and we'll aggregate that data when that tax form is due. That tax refund, oddly, is in the third quarter. So July 1st through September 30th is when that refund period is. So right now I'm going through all the 2023, 2024 refunds for all our clients. And so it's no Moe Gas Tax. You can find it in the Android store or the Apple store, and it's $5.99 to download, and it keeps track of all the receipts. And then we help you submit that form to the state of Missouri so you can get your gas tax cash back.
That's fabulous. And I don't know if anything exists if you are in another state. If it doesn't, well, you should be the one to talk
Yeah,
to
so
Tammy.
I know. Yeah, it's one of those situations. I don't like paying taxes. So I do everything that I can in my business pursuits to not
Yes.
pay taxes, right?
Yeah, that's
And
great.
so the state implemented this refundable gas tax that nobody knew about it. So I kind
And
of
that's
put a
for
little light
everybody,
on
whether
it.
you're a business owner or not. Is that for everybody?
Yeah, so any purchase,
Yeah,
yeah. So you can
perfect.
file it under EIN number or your social
Yeah,
security number as individual.
there
Yeah.
you go. I mean, that's a hot tip for today, especially if you
Hot
live.
tip, 10 cents
Yeah,
every gallon. You're probably gonna buy
excellent.
what, 15 gallons to any given day? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
$1.50.
Okay, perfect. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you. It has been such a pleasure having you on. I know that our listeners, I'm sure took away a golden nugget here or there
I
of
hope
just
so.
what you
I love sharing
provided.
knowledge. I get stronger the more people that I talk to and I meet throughout my life as a business owner. And so I love to be able to share it forward too.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, Tammy, thank you. And for the listeners, if you will be sure to subscribe, Like, pass this on to anyone that you know, especially if you know someone who is interested in purchasing a franchise. They might want to listen to this or maybe even connect with Tammi. All right, everybody, keep winning in business. And until next time, rise up and live.
Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.